Let me put it simply, Hasbro decided to essentially split McFarland's cheeks and let him have it. Show him who truly is the best, one of the best manufacturers in the toy biz. And look, I know not everything is a matter of competition. This whole like Hasbro versus McFarland conversation is really old, and I think it definitely has died down over the past few months, but it's still worth noting, okay? And this is coming from somebody that like 2 years ago said that McFarland was the best manufacturer in the world. And then I went on to saying Hasbro for a little bit. I went on to saying Jada Toys. And now I genuinely think that either, Hasbro has tied up with Jada Toys or they've surpassed them ever so slightly, because I think the newest reveals here just absolutely blow anything that any other OM has been doing recently. And I honestly feel bad for like DC Universe collectors, because like the most exciting thing that we've gotten recently from the DC multiverse is like wired capes. That's about it. We're still getting like ugly pins, and we're still getting that very weird diaper look for some of our action figures, and it's not the end of the world. I'm not going to sit here and cry about how McFarlane isn't just like the most perfect OM. I get it. It's a matter of personal perspective and personal tastes, but even if you're not a fan of Hasbro, you have to admit what they just pulled off with this particular live stream is something just special. Almost, I'm not going to say they're almost, but I think a good percentage of what they showed off is brand new, and that's really, really exciting. I didn't think that Hasbro could ever reinvent themselves, but this like last, year or so, they're trying to do things a little bit differently, from things as simple as like new packaging. They've given us new articulation, new body mold, so on and so forth. And it would only be fitting that we started today's recap with the new Spider-Man Marvel Legends action figure, which is supposed to be a part of like a new wave of Marvel Legends action figures. Now, I don't know if they're all going to have like new accessories and new body molds, but I think they're supposed to be like deluxe. They're supposed to come with a bunch of extra accessories, unmasked head sculpts, and things of that nature, and that's exactly what we're getting with this particular Spider-Man. Now, I will say, even though I love the figure's design, I'm not sure if I would have gone with like that 90s look from the comic book era. I know there's like a ton of people, it has definitely a cult following behind it, but personally, I would have preferred a more classic rendition of Spider-Man. If they were going, like, if it was the first time that we're ever getting this body mold, I would have preferred, a more classic design. But I still love the 90s era of Spider-Man comic books, nearing closer to like the 2000s. But I will say this is an absolute masterpiece. According to the live stream, I'm not sure if this is 100% accurate, but this is supposed to be like a brand new body mold. They like re-engineered the heck out of it. It's supposed to come with, completely pinless technology, toe articulation, beautiful butterfly joints. The double ab articulation is there, which is like the hinge and then that like ball joint. It comes with some extra heads. It comes with the Spidey Sense effect piece. It comes with some web accessories that can actually be ported into the hand, so it looks like the webbing is actually shooting out from his wrist. It's absolutely mind-boggling. I know it's something simplistic, and on the surface it doesn't seem like it's a lot, but there's quite a bit of engineer work. Anytime an action figure has a new design, or they have to integrate something like an accessory and port it into like a hand or a head, whatever the case may be, there's a lot of work that goes into it. They have to create new bodies, they have to create new molds, they have to design it so it can fit around the figure, and then they have to mass produce it. I'm sure we're going to consistently start seeing this as a trend. Like, I don't think this is the only time we're going to see these hands and these type of webbing accessories, but the fact that they're starting it off at this particular point when people are starting to doubt the Marvel Legends line or just Hasbro in general, I think is an absolute stroke of genius. Not to mention, and I don't know if this is like infringing on Jada Toys here, but by the way, I don't think that they're like the first to ever do it, but they are going to include some like effect stands, so you can actually place some of the like web effect pieces or some of the webbing accessories on this stand to make it look like he's actually shooting the web at a distance. So it's really cool, it's really neat, it's kind of innovative and creative, minus the fact that Jada Toys already did it with their Street Fighter line. I think like all of the Street Fighter action figures, or most of them, as well as some of the Mega Man action figures, have a little stand for their effect piece, which I think, I'm not gonna say that they're copying them or trying to capitalize on some of the success that Jada Toys has had, but it is what it is. Honestly, I don't really have many complaints aside from the fact that they went with the 90s version, which I would have preferred a more classic iteration of Spider-Man, just because this is like the first one that we're getting. And even though I like the webbing accessory little stand that we're getting, I would have preferred like an actual updated action figure stand for Spider-Man. That's probably the only real nitpick that I would have had. It's cool to have the webbing, make it look like it's in midair, but we've been waiting for quite some time for a new action figure stand. I think the last one that we've been seeing recently is the one that they used for like the old deluxe Black Widow figure from way back in the day. I think it was like a Target exclusive or something like that. But it's time to like update it, give us something a little bit new. I think the other one that we saw from Hasbro, but I guess not technically Marvel Legends, it was for that starting lineups action figure line that was for like NBA players. They were like really well articulated and designed, and they came with these really cool action figure stands. But again, we have not seen one for the Marvel Legends line in quite some time, so I would have preferred that, honestly. Now, it is worth noting that we didn't actually get a price point for this particular figure. The last time that we got a semi-deluxe figure, quote unquote, and by the way, I'm making air quotations, not that you can see me right now, but yeah, the last time that we got like a deluxe price point for a regular figure, I believe it was like a $35 for the Gamerverse Spider-Man. So I'm thinking it's somewhat similar to that. Even if it was $40, I think I'd be okay with it, just because it's a brand new body mold with like insane articulation. The amount of engineer work that went into this, it kind of reminds me a lot of like the imported figures that we usually get. And by the way, those people that think that just because it's an imported figure, it has better articulation, in some cases it doesn't. Like Hasbro's been doing a very good job recently upping all of their torsos and all of their body molds to actually like compete with imported figures, and this is a prime example of that. I'm very, very excited. As I said, if the price point is anywhere between the lines of like 35 to 40, maybe even $45, I'm okay with it. This is one of those figures that I think everybody needs in their display, especially if you're a big Spider-Man fan and you need your Spider-Man to get into like some crazy dynamic poses. This is the action figure for you. They also announced that we're supposed to be getting 2 Ultimate Universe action figures. We're getting the Ultimate Iron Man as well as, well, the Ultimate Universe Miles Morales. And in case you guys are wondering, it's not Miles Morales from the Ultimate Universe, it's just Miles Morales, because the 616 Miles is actually a part of the Ultimate Universe. It's kind of a little bit convoluted. If you guys want to read up on the history of Miles Morales, he is actually from another universe, and he somehow ends up making it onto the 616. So technically, Miles is just Ultimate Spider-Man Miles. But this is really iconic. You get by the way, just a quick little FYI, I think Hasbro is doing a phenomenal job with the retro cards. I think that's pretty genius. They're forcing a lot of collectors, a lot of consumers to decide whether they want to pick up multiples of these, because the card backs just look absolutely beautiful. They're based on the comic book art that they're coming from, the source material, or they're basing them on the first appearance in this particular case. So Ultimate Iron Man, brand new body mold, brand new sculpt work, brand new design, absolutely crazy. This is not something that we see pretty consistently from Hasbro. We've been seeing the same Iron Man body, with minor tweaks here and there, but essentially we've been seeing some of the same body molds being reused over and over. And then the Miles Morales, which I think, when I first saw it, I thought it was maybe the Gamerverse Miles Morales, the same exact body mold, but now I'm thinking it might be like one of the newer tweaked ones, maybe the one that they're using for the symbiote Spider-Man. But this gave me like Gamerverse vibes, so I'm not sure if they're reusing the hands or a lot of the different accessories, but this is cool. We're getting the first appearance style of Miles Morales, which is something that we've been desperately needing. We've gotten so many different versions of Miles. Like, we just got the Across the Spider-Verse, Into the Spider-Verse. We've gotten, the video game versions, but it's nice to continue to see Hasbro like flesh out the Miles Morales universe. And I think this is a perfect representation of that. Now, I will say there are a lot of people that are jizzing over like the little comic books that they're holding. Personally, I think it's a waste. I don't think I'm going to display any of my figures this way. It's like a little prop that is cool for like action figure photography, but am I really going to consistently use a little, fake tiny comic book that my action figures can hold? It's cool in theory, but the fact that they're kind of like taking a little bit of resources from some of these figures, I don't know. I don't know if I love that, especially considering I saw like the Miles, which comes with like 5 hands total and not a lot of webbing accessories. I would have preferred them to kind of, focus more on the accessories, extra hands, maybe the action figure stand that we've been waiting so long for. And granted, these are in the retro card and they're probably going to veer closer to the $25 price point. So it's not the end of the world. I'm just saying I don't think it's something that I desperately needed or wanted from McFarland, to be completely honest. But as I said, beautiful retro card. Both of them, or I shouldn't say both of them. The Ultimate Spider-Man is brand new, everything like, head to toe. And then the Miles Morales is using a lot of the newer upgraded tech. So like the new articulation, pinless joints and things of that nature. And I have to say, I love the unmasked head sculpt. Although I will say, and I can't quite remember how tall he was in the original comic books, but maybe this body mold is a little bit too tall and lanky for what I remember. Again, I haven't read that particular, like his first appearance or his first little comic book run in a while. I think the ones that I, own were like the dollar bin versions or the dollar price versions or the facsimiles, the reprinted ones that are, worthless, because I think the first appearance of Miles is like thousands of dollars. But yeah, if you guys are interested in knowing a little bit about Miles, he's always had like a very interesting backstory to him. We are also getting a new Adam Warlock action figure, which comes with the Infinity Gauntlet, which is probably one of the best accessories that we've seen in quite some time. And then he also comes with one of those little comic books if you guys are interested. This is one of those figures that, really cool. It comes from that Infinity Gauntlet. What is it? The Infinity whatever Gauntlet storyline. And it comes with that beautiful retro card as well. All of the retro cards are actually based on the source material, which is really cool. It's not like a generic wave or a generic backdrop. For example, we have the animated Spider-Man retro carded figures, which all come with the exact same retro card. This one at least switches it up for every single individual character. So you are going to get him. Same thing. It comes with pinless technology. It comes on that new updated generic body mold, but I think it fits in if you're looking for something like this, especially if you have like that comic book accurate Thanos, which it was like a deluxe Thanos way back in the day. It perfectly fits in with that particular display because I think they're from like the same source material. They're from that same comic book storyline. And then we are supposed to be getting a Secret Wars Wolverine. What's interesting about this particular figure, and don't quote me on this because I only own like 2 Wolverines. I haven't had like every version or every iteration, but I think this is just reusing that newer Wolverine body mold. It obviously has unique hands to this particular character because there is a claw that comes out, I believe, from his wrist or somewhere along the palm of his hands. A brand new head sculpt, and I believe there's either a paint job on his left arm, or it's actually a brand new sculpted arm. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure that they're reusing the body molds, adding a new head sculpt, and then or adding 2 new head sculpts, I think, the new hands, and then potentially either the new arm or they just painted that tattoo on the arm. And I will say it's a really cool nod from Hasbro to continue to like finish out some of these displays. People that have been waiting so long for the Dark Avengers. I don't know if I said Secret Wars, but this is the Dark Avengers Wolverine. It's really cool because there have been people that have been waiting for this particular character for years. Although I will say there's a huge dilemma now because if you do have some of the Dark Avenger action figures, they're probably like massively outdated at this point. Some of them might not have some of the new articulation, so they're gonna have to like circle back around and give us all new figures. But for the time being, they continue to flesh out that particular display if you're already like knee deep into it. If you're not impressed just yet, they also showcased that ROM figure that they've been promoting for quite some time. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, they had it at a convention, maybe just like a prototype of it. This is supposed to be all brand new sculpt. And if you're noticing a little bit of a trend here, yes, there are some figures that are reusing body molds, or at least reusing modern body molds. You have the Banshee action figure, which, yes, it is using one of the more modern pinless body mold, but this isn't a brand new body mold here. So you can tell the difference. You can tell the amount of effort that Hasbro poured into some of the figures, whereas in others, yes, we are getting updated versions or at least alternate versions of certain characters with modern technology, but they're not brand new body molds. And so you can definitely tell where they decided to put just a little bit more effort. And look, I completely understand not every single action figure, every single Marvel Legends is going to have a brand new body mold, but it's that extra touch that some of these characters get. And I think ROM definitely deserves it. He is an old school character, if I'm not mistaken, debuted what, like 40-50 years ago in comic book form. And I have seen, by the way, a lot of these ROM comic books in the dollar bin. So if you guys are interested in like reading a little bit of his backstory, it's a semi-affordable comic book run for the most part. I will say the articulation is a little bit, or appears to be a little bit limited on this figure, but I think it's just the design of the character itself. So they essentially try to copy and paste it into comic book form, or I should say copy and paste from a comic book page into action figure form, and that's usually what happens. And then lastly, I wanted to talk a little bit about the Electro MCU action figure, which is, I guess technically he's from No Way Home, but I've said it before, I wish they would have that Amazing Spider-Man moniker. I wish they would go back and actually give us characters that are based in the Amazing Spider-Man. I'm not sure how much it would really change, but just having them labeled as that, or having like the retro card have the poster for Amazing Spider-Man, would just complete my goals for this particular wave. But yes, this is the final villain for No Way Home. We finally got the entire squad together. From my understanding from the live stream, this is all brand new sculpt, which I absolutely love. I know people criticized the Connors Lizard action figure for essentially just like retooling the old one, but at least here we're getting a brand new body mold with some of those electric effect pieces, which I believe we've already seen at least once before, but it's okay. I mean, it's a really good reuse. I think last time we saw it in a completely different or in a completely different colored plastic, and now we're getting it in yellow, which is really cool. Perfectly fits in with the figure. It does come with alternate hands. I will say I'm not a fan of what they did with the head here. I know that's supposed to be screen accurate, if I'm not mistaken, but even if it is, I don't know why they wouldn't go with a powered down version for the head, just a Jamie Foxx head sculpt. I'm not sure if it maybe has to do with some legalities. Maybe they weren't able to get 100% of his rights for this particular figure, but it really bothers me. It irks me that you can only get him in a powered up mode. I would much rather preferred, even if they were going to keep everything on the body, like even if there were no swappable options there, at least they could have done something a little bit different with the head sculpt. And again, a little bit disappointed, but overall I love the fact that they're finally finishing off the villains for No Way Home. This is it. If you want to collect every figure, at least most of the figures in this particular line, or every single one of these characters, you can now do so. And there you guys have it. I'm not going to ramble. I'm not going to spit too much saliva at you guys. I believe I've ranted and rambled on long enough. So essentially, I just wanted to give you guys a quick heads up on some of the figures that were revealed, give you guys my personal take on it. I will say this is definitely a new phase for Marvel Legends. Some of the stuff that we're seeing here, I don't think we've ever seen such upgrades and such massive improvements from a really old OM such as Hasbro. So like I said, very fun, very exciting. Hopefully we get to see more of this going forward, and that deluxe Spider-Man is supposed to be a part of a new kind of subline, which is also very exciting. Could we potentially see like an Iron Man, maybe a Captain America with a bunch of accessories, maybe some extra, like effect stands, things of that nature? Only time will tell, but it's definitely very fun and exciting to at least speculate about it. Let me know down below in the comment section what you guys thought about the live stream. What action figure are you the most excited about? Is Hasbro now officially the best manufacturer in the game, or am I blowing things out of proportion? Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, make sure to stay safe out there and enjoy the hobby, which is the most important part of all this. I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you.